Welcome back to the Caster Desk. Thank you to our wonderful analyst on the desk. By the way, hysterics. In all actuality, we're already neck deep into game number 2. No delays, no pauses yet, as we are seeing V5 back on the blue side. They get the Zeri, the Trundle, and the Lulu, while LNG have the Sivir, the Wukong, and the Fiora.
So Fiora was actually banned in the last game, and this has been such a big pick for Allah, so fantastic to see him get his hands on it. And we'll have to see now. I imagine they're going to start banning away some of these top lane picks to make sure that Allah can have that really good pick in top side, but also leaves open Doomby to get counter pick in mid as well. Again, it feels like LNG are looking at a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I feel like if you get a 2 solo kills on Fiora, like it's going to be even more devastating. Something to mention though, because the Yuumi was banned by V5, they've taken Zeri Lulu, so you know we saw both AD carries be complete powerhouses in the late game. Light, I feel like without having the same level of enchanter support backup, might not be as potent a threat as this Zeri is in the later stages. But we are going towards the second stage of bans. We see LNG, as you said, really targeting those picks that can cause the Fiora issues, whereas V5, they are trimming the support pool. A Mumugon, Nautilus might follow here if they want to just hamper down things that deal well with Zeri, but they actually go for the Akali.
Yeah, because I would have looked at like LNG and gone, you know what, a Nautilus would be fantastic. Instant lockdown for the Zeri, great follow-up with Tarzan on this Wukong. Like, it feels like you have a good answer for how Photic wants to try and keep at bay from what LNG are bringing to the table. So I would imagine you get the Nautilus pick in here. Rakan, another option that could go for that. And then you're going to just leave the counter pick for Doomby. But I will say I do prefer the Nautilus overall. But
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Rakan because it's very hard to pin down the Zeri since she's so fast, right, with your W. And you'll get harassed in lane. So this is a really hard lane to deal with. And I was actually going to say LNG, Silas would have been a good pick for them. Good in a Trundle, you can steal away his ult, steal with his stats. But now Rookie's taking Azir. That's a miserable lane. So we'll see what Rich needs to take. But you have super scaling mid and bot for V5 that have good laning phases. Rich just needs to survive. And I think V5 are comfortable.
I'm curious to see if we just see Doomby going back towards something like a Victor, right? Doomby has always been a very, very strong Victor player. We saw it in the past as well. But they just go back towards that kind of decision. Why am I seeing an Aatrox for Rich?
Because it was,
That's
banned. It was banned by LNG last time. Come on. Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting.
Rich just counterpicked himself. Like, that's a horrific matchup in the top side.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty miserable because your sweet spots allow her to proc the W. And the big thing with Fiora is she wants to get up close and personal so she can quickly proc those vitals, whereas Aatrox kind of keeps things like Fiora at like arm's distance. So that's a struggle. I said Rich just need to survive. Now we see LNG with the potential point they can really punish, and I think they do need to. If Ola doesn't get ahead here, I think LNG are going to struggle heavily in the late stages of the game, but this is prime territory for him to snowball this game.
Yeah, I feel like V5 kind of set themselves up with the same issue that we saw in the last game, right? Doomby, Tarzan, stronger mid-jungle, the ability to try and lock down a member and just burst them out. You're then looking at the top side. Allah got a fantastic matchup. It's not only the fact that you can like dodge away from the sweet spots, it's like you get to just dance around him as a Fiora, and anytime he throws down like things like Infernal Chains or every bit of a CC super highlighted, well then you just opt in towards, hey, I'm just going to riposte you and then kill you anyway. So then you're looking at bot side. You've also at least got the Zeri coming in on the side of V5. With the Lulu, you do have control over that lane, but this top side of the map is so potent for LNG.
But I love that you were kind of talking about the late game scaling aspect for V5. They didn't necessarily get to make it that far, so it's interesting to see them opt into that for this second game, especially looking at the Azir, the Zeri, but a lot of strength from Zeri in game number 1.
Look, I mean, they have at least stronger lane matchups, which is something I criticized in the last game. If V5 get to the late stage of the game and LNG don't have Soul, don't have a massive gold lead, and Fiora hasn't taken over the side lane, they're grand. That's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, man, we're getting into game 2 now. No delays just yet. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, and we are underway. Do LNG push themselves to match point, or will V5 try to make something happen? V for victory, hoping in game number 2. Can Rookie, can Karsa step up to the table? We'll see and find out very, very quickly as LNG are looking for a lot of a start like they did in game number 1.
Yeah, we saw in game 1, it was such a long time ago because we actually had to start the game, then the pause. We saw some little shenanigans coming out bot lane where they're trying to find something level 1. Nothing to come out here yet though. Just because they're trying to put down a ward potentially, and I think that's a big thing. If you let your bot and mid lane play out organically and you can track Tarzan heading up towards the top side, then definitely an opportunity to at least match the Wukong with Trundle's early strength.
I'm really interested to see what version of Rookie we get on the Azir, because Rookie in 2020 one of the best Azirs to be had in the league. Absolutely fantastic. Like, making unreal plays, looking brilliant. 2021, not so hot. Kind of just like abysmal win rate. Didn't seem like he was able to kind of pick up the strength that he needed in this champion. Now coming into this game number 2, it feels like a huge amount of this, as we say, is going to be a rookie and Photic in the later portion of the game. So I want to see what Photic is going to be able to achieve, especially when he has to hit the mid game, and if he can set up that mid lane for success.
And especially now that we're focusing on this bottom lane a little bit more with the camera, at least, I think it's an interesting point to talk about, because we did see that early blood down in bottom lane last time around, but it was a little bit of that aggression that we were loving to see early on. This time, Photic PP God, they are trying to give that aggression as well in the early parts.
Oh, Costa looking for Tarzan aggressively, and this is kind of what you can do on the Trundle. It did things like the Wukong, especially these AD junglers. The fact you steal the AD gives you so much strength, but he needs his bot lane to lean over. Photic and PP God about to hit level 2 do have control, but if Light and Lumao can make it there, this could cause big issues for Costa. See how he's playing around the priority he has in his mid bot lane and allowing that to give him this strength to go for these big challenges.
It was all about early pathing for Tarzan last game as well, and this time Karsa giving a little bit of his own medicine, trying to find that early aggression, but Tarzan actually wrapping back around, trying to get onto Rookie in mid lane. Here comes Doing B, he's going to get the at least frozen, but it's not going to be followed up on too heavily by Tarzan. It is the flash burn, though.
It's a level 2, right? Like, you're not actually going to get anything really with the Wukong. You get the charge in, you get a little bit of bonk damage, but it's not really a huge amount to write home about. So Rookie will get the Burst Flash at least to keep himself safe, and at least that is something for Tarzan, and now they'll get to shove in this wave, so Doomby can look for the reset.
I've just taken a look at the scoreboard, and I looked at the CS difference in top lane.
Oh yeah, I mean, you alluded to it earlier.
I'm not going to lie. I'm baffled by this. Like, I am so utterly confused. This is one of the best matchups for Fiora in every regard. Like, everything that Fiora wants to do counters everything that Aatrox wants to do.
I don't think they're going for the dive. I want to say, if Rich ends up getting dove here, the game's over. That's not going to happen, but now Arla can join in with Tarzan. And even if Rich picks up all this wave, he's still going to be down. But now we get Tarzan, Costa feeling the bleed because of how good this top lane is going for LNG.
And you can't even get Rookie to help. Doomby TP back into lane. He's full health, full mana. Rookie's completely out of it. So LNG would just get to bully their way through this.
It's about pressing up the pressure, get the blue buff at least there, a little bit of aggression. Now we get the aggression bottom as PP God gets the Ignite burned onto him. A lot of damage on the little tiny Lulu. The flash is coming out from LNG, and the shield is enough to save PP God. We'll see if Photic can get the damage down afterwards, but it is quite a trade in bottom lane.
Great engage from Lumao onto PP God. Usually you can get that polymorph to completely mess up the engage, make sure that LNG aren't actually able to follow up, but they at least burn so much on PP God's side, but can't quite get the kill.
Yeah, I think the problem here, though, is you have very sort of minute windows as the Rakan to punish in this matchup. And look what it cost. 4 summoners burn for LNG's bot lane, whereas although PP God's lost both of his, Photic's still sitting pretty, so LNG can't easily go for that again, and since the health bars are low, Carson might look for a dive.
Yeah, Carson knows not to go to the top side of the map anymore. We'll see if LNG gets punished for that aggression in the bottom lane as Carson just hovering here, trying to make something happen. PP God! Oh, the ricochet! It wasn't at all! First blood for LNG's Light!
It's the second time now we've seen LNG get this advantage, especially when Karsa was sitting here waiting for the play. The worst time for PP God to go down.
And you can see the thought process was, hey, if I chunk out the enemy bot lane even more, we can dive so easily. And then he just overcommits, disrespects the Sivir damage. And honestly, a big factor as well is Sivir has quite a decent amount of burst if you don't respect it. The fact that you can auto then W to get the reset. You can see this comes out here, 2 autos in quick succession, the minion damage, the ricochet.
No!
Oh, and the thing was, PP God actually walked into the bounce back on the boomerang blade. That's what chunked his health bar out, and why Light was able to get so much damage down. But we're going to take a quick look up at this top side again, as Arla getting some nice trade.
Yeah, I'm going to say Rich picked up a lot of that wave that we saw, and when Arla went for the invade, it's actually going to recover a lot of that CS discrepancy. It looks so tragic early levels. He's holding up pretty well. It's actually hit level 6 first, so doing okay, all things considered.
Yeah, and you can see the difference. When that ricochet is used and doesn't actually connect from Ala, that's where Rich can actually go aggressive, because now he's like, okay, I can actually move up, look to hit these sweet spots, and try and punish the fact that Ala can't have that get out of jail free card. But at the moment, at least Tarzan's still moving through his own jungle fairly well. Karsa wasted a lot of time trying to make that bot side play, so is slightly behind when it comes to the Wukong.
So I do want to dive into this top side a little bit more, since we're seeing that evened up. I know we were heavily talking about the Fiora having the advantage here, but how do you play this out now as Ala? Do you just continue to let this wave kind of bounce into it? Do you try to up in Rich with a little bit of help from Tarzan?
I think it's basically waiting for a mistake, because if Rich ever does mess up and proc the riposte, we're seeing the stun get procced, but not hitting Rich. If he ever gets caught by it, that's when Ala can dive in, pop the ultimate, and you can look for the all-in.
Yeah, the thing is, you can take nice trades as Ala in the early stages, but you don't really have that kill threat. It's now that you've hit level 6, you can actually look for some serious work, because you get the extra vitals, that extra damage. Even the healing as well means that you have the potential to go for these dives. So it means that Rich has to be even more careful now, especially with the fact he's burned his TP to get topside. Ala's actually kept his, so can go for these hefty trades, reset, come back into lane, and look to bully Rich.
And something, a big theme, obviously, in game number 2 so far is the split map, it feels like. But Doinby trying to change that up, trying to lock down the V5 bottom lane. Will be just showing his face, and now we see Tarzan actually pathing down towards the bottom lane to try to contest.
And this is so big that Photic kept both his summoners from that last fight we saw, because I guarantee if he didn't have cleanse there, Doinby flash ult dead. That is just exactly how it would have gone. So Doinby makes a good roam. It's what we typically expect to see from him, but he has started to fall a bit far behind in terms of CS. He will pick up a bunch of it here. But honestly, if you're playing in a Sandra, your goal is to move, is to make an impact, because you're going to get outscaled by this Azir, and you're not going to have fun in the 1v1.
Yeah, a bit of a good guy Tarzan there, making sure that Doinby didn't lose out too much on that wave state. We'll be able to equal that out. But I agree. I mean, but this is what Doinby was famous for, right? Super carry Doinby was not super CSing Doinby. It was, hey, I'm gonna leave this wave mid, I'll drop it and go towards these side lanes. And it looks like we're kind of getting that old school Doinby back once more and see what he can achieve.
It's also about the combination with Tarzan, right? That's where we've seen them at their highs, when both of them are making decisions and they're both able to help each other and find ways in.
And we'll probably see it again now that Rift Tower to spawn. Trying to get control over mid, you can always look for a play towards mid lane. Tarzan, though, isn't level 6 yet. We'll need to clear another camp before he can hit that, and then we might try and see them make some sort of play in towards the mid lane. But Tarzan, you know, same as Karsa, hasn't exactly been a farming storm in the early stages.
Rich is going for the outplays here, guys. He's missing or dodging out of the riposte, able to get a little bit of damage down. Lumount now has hit that level 6 mark. We'll see if he can get that quickness somewhere in the fight. But with Rift Herald on the table, with Dragon on the table, we got to look back at the objective focus that we've highlighted, at least for V5, towards that topside Rift Herald. See if they can try and contest against the oppression that LNG are putting out. Rich just pops the World Ender to start it off.
Yeah, and losing that ultimate before the Herald has even really started to be a thing does mean that V5 probably not going to be in a comfortable position to contest this. You already see Light moving up. I think if I'm V5 at this point, I'm just saying, look, let's just try and get some plates for Photic on the bot side. But looks like they're not having the same opinion as me.
Hey, we talked about how much priority they put on the Rift Herald. Now they want to fight over it. We're getting a 4v5 at least until Photic commits. He started walking actually back towards the bottom lane. Now walking back in. Karsa trying to get the big pillar onto Doinby. Doinby is locked down. He has to flash. Tarzan has that Cyclone, flashes himself as Light popped that on the hunt to get his teammates out of there.
Light used to try and escape there from LNG, but V5 might not be done. They're looking at those low health bars saying, can we maybe go for the dive, but we'll just back away instead. So LNG, they do blow summoner spells, but they do get out.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I gotta say I'm right, because V5, they get the summoners, they force them off, but they aren't in there in time to contest the Herald, and because they moved Photic up, he doesn't get anything in the bot lane. He isn't able to find an advantage. So sure, you burn flash from Tarzan and Doinby, but those champions are already pretty hard to pin down even without their flash. You really gain very little, and now LNG are the ones with the Herald. They're the ones going to be able to dictate the pace of the game.
And I think it's so important to highlight that LNG are putting so much focus in the top side of the map. We've seen multiple roams from multiple people in top side, even Lumao coming all the way up there. So the battle between Ala and Reach is going to decide a lot of what the early game looks like, especially from LNG's corner of it.
Yeah, I mean, Tarzan as well now, immediately resetting, moving back down towards this bot side, starting with the Dragon. It's again seen full objective control from LNG, and this was something that when we saw these two teams face off in playoffs initially, I was like, ah, man, V5's neutral objective control just so much better, right? Their Herald control has been absolutely fantastic. LNG's has pretty much been abysmal across the board. We've seen a complete reversal of that in playoffs. LNG have been so good at finding these early neutral advantages, and it's been V5 who've been really struggling.
And for me, it's also the biggest theme we had for LNG in a lot of their series, at least until the last two lost series, was the adaptation to every single opponent that they had.
And I think it's so important this game that they are putting emphasis on those neutral objectives, because one of the reasons we don't see as many split pushes in the meta is because there's such an emphasis on those big neutrals. Things like Dragons still being so potent. If you have the Fiora and you want to be here to be flourishing in the side lane, then having those Dragons means you can sacrifice the Dragon and maybe she takes an inhib, maybe she takes even more than that. But if the enemy team starts stacking them up, then suddenly you're like, well, we have to up in the fights no matter what. So even just getting one early Dragon, it makes so much difference, because as much as Arla is actually struggling a bit at this point against Rich, Fiora just does just eventually outskill everything in the side lane, because her passive vital damage gets to the point where the fourth and the ultimate deals nearly 100% of your health.
Rich is trying to squish or make Ala a little bit more squishy in this top side with Karsa moving up here. Tarzan is in the area and you've got Doomby here, so with Karsa spotted, looks like V5 will just back away.
Yeah, they're trying to at least find a little bit more pressure onto Rich. But I guess my next question comes with the Rift Herald only having about a quarter left. Do we see them, LNG, utilize that in top lane, or do we try to get it in mid lane for Doomby?
So I feel like mid makes the most sense because you're against the Zia, and typically it can be hard to crack that mid tier 1. Taking that down as well means that, you know, it's easy to push in, get vision set up for your Fiora in the side lane. But an influx of gold onto Sivir or Fiora wouldn't be a miss. But for me, mid lane makes the most sense.
And at this point, are we just saying that Rich was confident in the Aatrox, his mechanics, his gameplay over Ala on the Fiora?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, like, obviously we haven't been looking at top lane a huge amount. There's been one or two riposts that have gone wide. I mean, Rich has been doing a pretty good job of actually being able to connect with the sweet spots. And again, you've actually got Grasp of the Undying as well there, which is helping him to heal up alongside that passive foot bot side here.
Tarzan wants to come use the Rift Herald as it was just about to come up there. Well, he's trying to get Light and Lumao a little bit more gold down here. At least the charge will go through. Tarzan actually sticking around to make sure maybe that pillar can get Photic caught out. There's all the gold given over to LNG, and their first objective, at least in terms of the Rift Herald, will be huge. Doomby gets the flash out of PP God, tries to get the lockdown on a Photic. A little bit of damage back from the Zeri, but LNG are trying.
Yeah, and I like that, because ultimately they didn't commit that much. It's the ult comes down from Doinby, but they get the flash in the cleanse on Photic. They have the flash from PP God, so next objective that gets set up for, whether it's the Herald or the Dragon, they can just have Doinby flash ult on either of those targets and they're basically dead.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to see if they could get Lumao to follow up, but decided against it once they realized, hey, Rookie's in the area. So nice job by LNG to call that back and now go, as Ox was saying, like, hey, let's actually just play for the later advantage towards something like a Dragon. Even the next Rift Herald, which we're going to see up in just a minute 40. So you've got options here as LNG to even just start pushing this game further forward, especially if you can get the advantages.
We're getting the 1v1 here. Rich is trying to take it. Ala's in a little bit of trouble. He has the Grand Challenge down, a lot of healing available. There's one more spot. He tries to go in there, does get the healing back from the Grand Challenge. This is such a back and forth, but Lumao is coming to try to make the difference. Ala, he takes the tower shot though and has to back away.
Oh, such a scrappy fight. And you can see initially advantage in favor of Rich, right? Getting the burst damage, but Ala able to proc the vitals, able to get the healing, and Rich had to back off before, you know, ult timing out. He really would have held out an extended trade, and obviously LNG moving up as well.
Yeah, and as that fight went on, you can kind of start to see how Fiora can play around this, right? You go for the sweet spot with for the Aatrox, you get the dash away from Ala in behind the Aatrox to pop that last vital. That's why it can be so difficult for the Aatrox as this matchup starts to go on. But looks like Rich, for the moment, able to heal up nicely with the Eclipse and also his passive, and he's just going to try and take that top lane turret.
Hopefully trying to get a little bit more gold for himself up there, trying to redeem a little bit of that crazy back and forth game number 1, but as well as just the confidence to pick out this Aatrox. Does get the first tower for V5, while Light responds with their own down bottom lane just a little bit after.
A little bit after, but I do want to take note of the big neutrals. We talked about them before, but it's now 20 seconds until that second Herald. Dragon is in 55, and those summoners I brought up early, that's the pertinent thing that I feel like is a focal point for those. if you can just snap engage onto either the bot laners, that could be enough to get the Herald and maybe even set up for the Dragon after that if V5 take too much in terms of losses.
Especially because Rookie isn't really in a position to be the solo carry right now, right? Like, only a single item. You want that is here to get to the later stages where the Immortal Shield Bow and Photic going to make him a little bit more difficult to take down, but definitely he's going to be the mainstay damage for V5. So we have to keep our eyes on Doomy despite it. Even taking the Ghost as well, changing that over with the Unsealed Spellbook to make sure he can close that gap.
And just to shout out, I know you're talking about Photic, but 2 items for Light, right? The Phantom Dancer plus the Kraken Slayer. We have both objectives coming up. At least the Rift Herald already started up by V5, but Dragon coming up as well. And I want to know if maybe LNG decide to contest this with that spike from Light.
I mean, they'd be crazy not to, right? They're trying to move in here, get into position. Ala on the flank has been spotted. Rift Herald low.
Oh, Tarzan's going in with the Cyclone. You get the re-engage from Lumao, and Photic's already down. This is huge. They do get the Rift Herald for V5, but can they get out of here? Rich does use that Blast Cone. Nicely done, and a pickup from LNG, but as well as V5.
And now they can just head over the Dragon if they want with those members down. I said with those summoners down, they could probably pick Photic or PP God. They took both.
And the thing is, they didn't even use Doomby's Flash in that play. Again, they just used the Ghost. So Doomby able to use the Claw and the Ghost to get into position alongside Tarzan to close that gap. So Ala now moving up towards his top side. He doesn't realize there's 2 members.
No, he's fallen right into the delicious trap from Karsa. It's gonna take a little bit of time to get there. The rope post comes out. TP actually committed from LNG and V5. Lumao's coming around the corner here. Does have that grand entrance, but Doomby needs to get out of there. Rookie! He comes in with a massive Emperor's Divide, and that'll be a pickup for V5, their first kill of game 2.
Manages to swoop in Lumao, even with the mobility off the Rakan, still not enough to escape Rookie when he's hunting you down, and LNG still got a Dragon, but now Ollie, he's playing with fire here.
He is. He's trying to bait out with that riposte, but doesn't find anything in the end of it. A little bit of aggression from V5, but huge pickup from Rookie, who we feel like been a little bit non-existent so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's on the Azir. It's difficult to be impactful in these early stages. You're not exactly an early skirmish champion, but now we're starting to see what Rookie is capable of in this pick, why he was so feared on it in 2020, and why V5 are starting to get this control over the mid lane.
You gotta watch out as mid lane crash does come through. V5, we're trying to get this tower. A couple more auto attacks from Photic will do it. Ala and Rich going back at it here. Riposte does not connect. The grand challenge was used as well as the World Ender. A little Teemo thumbs up. I like it.
Hey, he got away with what they wanted, right? Got the red buff. He's just going to portal away. I do want to take point, though, at this. Oh, maybe seeing something come out here. No, sorry, Observer's is baiting me. Light now has 2 items. Obviously, he got that big influx of gold with the Herald, with the plates. Got a few kills under his belt. This Sivir is becoming a bit of a problem at this point, because right now, like the fact that Karsa only has 1 item, like you will get shredded by this Sivir even this early with the Kraken Slayer and the Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you can see it in this fight here. Tarzan does a great job, flashing forward, close the distance. Doomby follows up immediately onto Photic to stop him getting over the wall. They pick off PP God, and Ala, that flank that we talked about not being spotted on this top side, but not able to kind of hold people in place long enough for the rest of LNG team.
And I feel like this composition could be so momentum-based because...
Oh, like
point to case,
right
point
there,
to case,
man.
yeah.
The fact is, like, you have these snap engage tools, but you also have the ult from Sivir that, since you got sort of mini reworked, now resets on a takedown. So that constant movement speed to push forwards. You have the Lissandra as well with Frozen Thralls. So once you get those initial kills, it's so easy to chase forwards and get more and more.
And it's also so easy to look for picks, right? Like, if you start pushing your vision troll in, denying vision for V5, who realistically tries to face check against what LNG have, right? They've so much CC, so much lockup, that even someone like Karsa, who's probably the tankiest member on this squad, isn't really going to be able to do so much.
We've seen this fight before over the red buff.
This time it's actually Light that gets the red buff. It comes in with a pizza delivery.
Again, though, Ala, like, kind of just mistiming the riposte there, not actually connecting on towards Rich. He ends up having to try and dodge away, which is why he loses half his health bar and doesn't really set up for LNG, who are trying to follow through. So, definitely Rich looking pretty good on this Aatrox in this matchup so far.
And I want to go to the conversation that you were kind of talking about earlier, where Light, the Sivir, obviously getting a little bit scary, but that's a difference than we saw from game number 1, where it was the Zeri that was popping off. Zeri not able to get those early advantages this time. Maybe Rich trying to take a 2v1. We'll see if he can do it. Does have the World Ender there. A lot of damage from Ala, though, and those sweet spots are not going to be enough, or will it? A little bit of healing for LNG, and Rich will go down to Ala.
Finally getting enough damage in with the CC coming in from Tarzan. Hold him still. Ola gets the vitals. That's enough to get the kill onto Rich. nice little bit of gold influx on LNG there.
I know Real Summoner Spell is using that as well, so it's not like that's going to have a big difference for the Dragon fight that's in a minute and a half, but the big ones are the likes of Photic getting that his summoner spells back up. You'll have Rich's back up, so pretty much full summoner spells across the board for V5, and a similar story when you look across at LNG, apart from that TP on Ala.
And I feel like this is such a big fight because now Baron is available. If either team loses this fight by enough of a margin, Baron is on the cards, but also LNG on 3 Dragons, Hextech Soul as well. When we talk about that chase potential for LNG, the slows are so frustrating to deal with. It's like if someone gets hit by like a ricochet, it's not just the damage, it's also the fact that now you're walking at just like a snail's pace and all of LNG will fly onto you.
And the added AoE shred for someone like Light is insane. It's so disgusting. And everyone on LNG like has great use of both the attack speed and the ability haste, right? Like, so you end up in a really tough spot here if LNG are able to pick up a couple of these Hex Dragons. But, I mean, very similar story for V5, right? Especially when it comes to those autos.
Yeah, Tarzan just looking for Karsa there on the side. The pillar is going to be huge. Doomby has to flash out from the other side of it. Now V5 have committed Rich's TP here. Ala is looking for a little bit of a flank. I
love actually the patience from LNG because they don't go for the full engage there, but they get a TP out of Rich, stopping that silent pressure. And sure, they lose Doomby's flash, which is definitely something, but they keep all their ultimates for the fight that's coming up in 15 seconds.
And we saw last game is so important.
A big thing for Doomby as well, swapping over to that exhaust. He wants that for Rich.
Oh, he might be locked down here, though. He will go out, though. Now, Luma with a big grand entrance, but you got to watch out for the rest of V5. Nice! Lead done with the CC, but you gotta look for PP God, you gotta look for Rich. They are trying to take the front to back, but LNG's AoE, Light is coming up huge, and that is Tarzan with a double kill. Will he be able to get a triple onto Photic, or Lumel doesn't get it? Lumel goes down.
But it's still LNG winning the fight, and it looked a bit messy at first. Looked like V5 maybe would take favor, but Light, once again, the most consistent player this year for this roster, steps up and deals the damage they need.
Brilliant stuff from LNG, a third Dragon to their name. And watch as this fight goes down. Doomby goes in, but that exhaust we talked about is the second Rich goes in, he ends up getting exhausted. Lumel on the back line, a triple knock-up. So Rich not dealing the damage he wants to with those beat spots. Light flashes away from Rookie's shuffle and just able to carry through that AoE with everyone on V5 grouped up perfectly for him.
Yeah, and the initial engage wasn't the best. Like, Doomby missed his root, didn't have the flash to get further in, didn't look super positive, but once the re-engage happens, LNG find that momentum, and then, you know, I saw that moment, we had it last game, where there was like the Zeri against 4 people trying to dive. I was like, okay, I don't think we'll go for that again, but yeah, I mean...
God. It speaks for itself, right?
Yeah. Pivot is doing work, and it's only going to get worse, because I'm certain Light will have his third item completed pretty soon. Hextech Drake coming up in 4 minutes. This is a problem for V5.
And Light's just sitting there saying, doesn't matter which side of the matchup you give me. I'm going to be popping off either way, Dagda.
And Light was the guy that LNG set up when we looked at that Worlds 2021 run. The man that they were able to rely on, not only that then, but this year as well. Light has been such a crucial part for this squad. And to see him step up game number 1, now doing it again in game number 2, this is the Light show that LNG needed to have in this series.
It's starting to turn on here for LNG, as if they can close out this decent objective lead that they have in this game and keep that control, which we saw them utilize so well in game number 1. It's feeling really difficult for V5, but there still is that late game scaling that you had mentioned in the draft.
And I think this is why the problem with the Dragons, though, because, you know, you'd love to have 3 items on your Zeri, but it's 3.5 minutes. I'm not sure you'll have the gold to get to that. So V5 are going to have to fight, maybe not the position they'd want to, but I think finding angles, finding maybe picks, finding setup before the fights, burning summoners can make all the difference.
That's the thing, it's the same with the Azir, right? Azir only sitting on 2 items right now. Rookie not really getting to a point where he's super strong. Doomby, he's happy as Larry. The Andrew's Anguish, Tanya's, yeah, let's just end the game here. I'm happy. This is where I'm strongest.
He was full build when he bought a stopwatch.
There you go, there you go.
So, this is where you just look at, like, for LNG, they're in such a good spot. Lord Dominic's guard completed for Light. Like, they have all the fighting tools that they really want to. So for V5, it has to be a miracle play. It has to be something that completely catches LNG off guard.
And I think, honestly, they'd love to start a fight, which might be coming in now.
Karsa is in the middle of everything, but Tarzan is the one that goes for the fight. The double cyclone is there, and Karsa, one more auto from Light. and he says, thank you for the pizza.
Yeah, I just feel like there isn't tanks when you're going up against Sivir, who's this fed right now. Costa gets shredded.
And also the fact that they realize Rich doesn't have TP. Rich showed bot side, so they're like, right, we have 5 members here. This is an uneven scrap. And now LNG turn towards Baron. Ala leaves the pit looking for that flank. Can Rookie make the play?
The health bars, though, for LNG. Rich is going straight in. Luma needs to get over the wall. Who's going to get the Baron? It does go down to Tarzan, but LNG needs to get out of the back of the pit. That is so much damage. Now Fodic is picking up his own kills. You're starting to get V5 coming to life.
V5 are actually getting these kills. LNG so low in the pit. Ala, what can you do?
Oh, Rich, the grand challenge. Lumao, he gets hit by Rich. He goes down, but Ala might just have the outplays here. Rich gets over the wall. Fodic is right here, and Ala says, I need to turn tail and run. I'm the only one left with my Baron buff.
Rookie's coming in on the side, so Ala will just about be able to escape, but that is a massive victory for V5. They have the gold lead, and the only Ala has the Baron.
I mean, look at the top right of your screen, minus 1,500 on the Baron play. It's so messy because they commit to it, but they don't have a flash or light. The light is never getting out of the pit. Doinby tries to buy time. Yes, they get the Baron, but then they end up stuck in the mix and just losing so many members.
But nobody commits at the same time or in the same place, right? Doomby, as you say, goes over the back line. Everyone else has DPS in the Baron. Rich is immediately into the mix. And because Luma has taken this Ignite, and Doomby was the one with the exhaust in the last one, you don't have access to an exhaust for Rich in those scenarios.
And I was just saying, I don't think Photic was going to have... Oh, Doinby.
He's in a little bit of trouble. The pillar comes out. He has the frozen claw out.
I didn't think Photic would be able to get enough gold for Infinity Edge before this Dragon fight. That was a surefire way to give him the gold. So now we're suddenly saying it looked doom and gloom. V5 needed to find an answer. And it feels like LNG gave them it. It's 40 seconds till that Dragon. And sure, if LNG lose it, it's not the end of the world. But the scaling carries on V5 are only going to get stronger.
And this is where I'm curious to see if they just leave Alan aside and they say, look, lads, we've messed up. Let's not try and go for this Dragon. Give it to V5. Instead, let's see if they can try and get some plays on towards side lane turrets. Doomby does have that TP. Could try and go for some sort of dive onto Rich under Terror if they're feeling very freaky or feisty, but I don't know if you really want to go for that.
Yeah, I'll say the fact that Arlo was still the one person who had Baron buff left available does really help with him being able to pressure the side, but you know, as much as they don't need to contest this Dragon for LNG, time is ticking, so may see them lean towards it and try and find an angle. If they get the soul, it's going to make all the difference.
Yep, we got Dragon coming up. The Baron not going necessarily the way that LNG wanted last game, but now it is potential soul for LNG if they can try to push out this mid lane and get in position, but V5 are already taking it.
Yeah, TP for Rich means that you have to start this. They know that if they let this go slow, Alec can go back towards those side lanes, but they're very split.
Oh, Rookie missing the Emperor's Divide there. We get the 1v1 by Rich and Ala in the side, but now we're coming back into the big fight here as well. We'll see Carson getting very, very low, but so is Doinby. The Dragon had reset. We get the kill onto Doinby from Fodic, and that's going to be a big turnaround here. Lumao needs to get out and back to his teammates. It's 5,000 on the Dragon here. We'll see Rich come across the Hex Gate. Ala is right there with him. Tarzan goes in with the Cyclone. Nice little double knock up there, but Rookie going Golding saves a lot of time, but does it. Rookie goes down in the middle. Fodic is trying to survive, but Light is so much stronger, and here comes Ala now. He's trying to poke down Fodic. He's trying to get down Fodic, and now Tarzan over the wall. That is a clean ace for LNG, and that is Dragon Soul.
That was V5 nearly finding the fight, nearly having the damage they needed, and once more Light, left untouched at the back of the fight, stands tall with this damage, secures the soul, and LNG are once more in the driver's seat.
And it ends up being so messy, so scrappy here. Rookie tries to find Lumao, and then Lumao actually goes for this long flank with the Hex Gates, and it's so scattered. Doinby tries to come out of Photic, but Photic flashes away. The polymorph ends up putting him in an uncomfortable position, and I think the zap, the Ultra Shock Laser take him down. But now, despite being 4v5, LNG look for the fight.
It feels like the miracle run for LNG is still alive and well. When plays like this are coming from Tarzan, diving into the back line onto Photic, taking him out of the equation, opening up for Light to deal the damage he needs. And even here as well, Photic, you could see it. Everyone is holding their breath for the Zeri moment, but Ala and Tarzan find the gap, find the opportunity to get onto the back line.
And Photic wanted to do what was done last game by Light when you're the last man standing on the Zeri and you turn it around, but LNG shut that opportunity down. And now, back to 5k goal lead for LNG, but the Hextech Soul, it's there for the whole game. Those slows on the ricochets, we hit on it before, so difficult to deal with. for V5.
I think that's the most important thing.
It feels like we're just getting what we expected from LNG all year long. Disappointment in spring, coming into summer, looking at them in that first round of players are like, there's no way.
Yeah.
They can't do it again. They can't go and just bring themselves back to Worlds, but LNG, they see their opportunity. Take down V5, take down RNG, and they'll have to see now if they can at least get that one stepping stone under their foot.
Honestly, LNG feel like that kid at school who, you know, falls asleep in lessons, doesn't do any homework, not paying attention, and then comes in the final exam and just gets like an A. Because
Why you gotta call me out like that, man? Come on, dude.
It feels like this whole year there's been so many trials, so many struggles, and when it matters most, they're bringing their A game all in now with the hole breaker, such a problem in the side lane.
And the craziness is it's not just Doonby. Doonby is just kind of a utility at this moment. It's everyone else on LNG that's stepping up to the plate, and I think that's so huge to highlight when we've seen the disappointment of the last 2 series for them where they had multiple chances to try to close out games.
I will say just in this though, a little bit of an interesting one to see the kind of split identity Allah's going for in his build path. Got the hole breaker here, but also going for like the Negatron, or not the Negatron, the Magic Resist to make sure that he can go against rookies well. Spectre's Kill, thank you. My brain just went nuts. But that's where it's just like, I can understand if you go in Spirit's Visage, you get the extra healing in that, but definitely still going to be a part of these fights and already looking to do so. He's hovering here just out of vision from V5.
And this has been a constant for Allah. He's always looking for the flanks as well.
And now Baron's up and available. LNG can lean towards that. And the thing is, if V5 try and contest the Baron and they overstep slightly,
Speaking of overstep, you don't need to take a step because Doonby's going to make it happen. Karsta almost going down. That's a huge 4-man Emperor's Divide to separate the fight.
We told you about leaking the script, Doc. Stop doing it. The second you say it, it comes true. And now LNG, they're turning over towards the Baron. Allah sitting off on the side. They haven't spotted him now. We'll see him on the ward as the TP from Rich is committed.
And LNG are approaching this one a lot differently than last time. They're trying to catch out members. They already caught out Karsta, and everything is turning to doom and gloom here for V5 as LNG are picking it apart one by one, and we're getting reminiscent from game 1 as a triple kill, no, quadra kill for Light.
Light is decimating V5 in this game, in this series, and their hopes of making it to Worlds looking to end here, and I think they've got it.
Light does it on the Zeri. He says, run it back. I'll show you how it's done on the opposite side as well, V5. LNG are clean and in command and marching towards that 3-0 right now.
Light says, who is feeling sick? I am feeling fine. He is carrying multiple games in a row, and it is incredible that LNG are now 1 win away from securing that battle against RNG.
We got it wrong. It wasn't that he was feeling ill. He was feeling sick.
There you go.
Full sicko mode for this, for Light. And it has been Light so many times, who has shown what he's capable of on the AD carries. We saw him join back in 2020, and you started to see inklings of it and things like the Tristana. But now, when he gets given those opportunities, he's popping off in team fights. And the fact that we're getting Doonby and Tarzan looking so good